If you're just joining us, you're watching KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. The first segment is done and dusted, politics. Now we focus on something different. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked pillars of, overlooked pillars of Africa's development, especially when you look at industrial growth. We are talking about standards in electrotechnology. The International Electrotechnical Commission Africa Region Center is celebrating 10-year anniversary, and today I want us to look at what has been achieved in the past decade, and also how do standards drive innovation, industry, and youth opportunities, especially in Kenya and around Africa. Joining me for that conversation in studio and on my far left, I'm joined by Zacchaeus Mwatha, who is the Acting Chief Manager, Standards Development and Trade at Kenya Bureau of Standards. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And also, I'm also joined by Francois Ahoti, who is the Regional Director, International Electrotechnical Commission, African Regional Center. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Let us get into it. And I will start with you, Francois. For someone who is hearing about International Electrotechnical Commission, Africa Regional Center, for the first time, what would you say is its description and what does it do?
Yes, thank you very much for this question. Let's say that we are living in an electrotechnical world. Electrotechnology is indeed everywhere. You have lamps, you have mobile phone, you have household appliances, you have all these things, and they are working because behind you have the IEC, the International Electrotechnical Commission, that is writing the standards and managing conformity assessment so that these products comply with the standards and can be used. So this organization, the IEC, the International Electrotechnical Commission, is founded in 1906. And in 2015, they decided to have a regional center for Africa. The main idea is really to involve Africa in this standardization work, because at that time, you can say Africa was underrepresented in the international roundtable around the standards. So there was a need really to have Africa on board. And that's why we set up this center. Of course, you know that one of the things that Africa needs really is electricity, but electricity also for industries. And for this, the IEC work is really helpful to have access to electricity, but also to make electricity available for everyone. Let me add that when we talk about electrotechnology, we mean all the equipment used to produce electricity. Transformers, meters, all this equipment are part of the IEC scope. We have also all the equipment that use electricity. So if you need electricity for an equipment, then you are in the IEC scope. And also we have all the equipment that contain electronics. And of course, we have all the associated technologies. Today we are talking about artificial intelligence and things like that. So it is very important for Africa to be there. And that's why we have the center, and our work is to train, is to talk to people, to make them really be part of this game.
Indeed. Mr. Zacchaeus, there's an event that you are hosting, and it also involves IEC. How does hosting this event elevate Kenya's global visibility now and position the country in as much as this is concerned and as a leader as in electrotechnology? And what does it mean for the growth of industries in the country?
Thank you very much, Migwi, for having us on this show.
Karibu sana.
And for that question, it's a very good question. One, let me state that the journey towards the hosting of the Africa Center, IEC Africa Center in Kenya, was long. It started long ago with IEC looking at the possibility of having its presence in Africa, from what my colleague Francois has said, to elevate the position and also build the contribution to the African countries in the IEC. And the choice of Nairobi was not an easy one, or the choice of Kenya. Now, 10 years down the line, we are hosting the 10 years of the IEC Africa after that long journey of finding the home of the IEC in Africa.
Yes.
And this has really elevated.
Okay, let me cut you short a little bit. Your mic, I'm told it has problems, but we'll come back to that question. Let me engage you, Francois. When you look at this anniversary, 10 years is no mean feat. So, reflecting on this journey, what would you say are the milestones that IEC can say it's proud of?
Yes, thank you for the question. I can say that we have a lot of reasons to be proud as IEC Regional Center for Africa, because the situation at when the center was established and now is really different in Africa. The idea is really to have the regional center supporting African countries. And from this perspective, we are used to visit African countries. We have visited almost all the African countries to bring to them what is electrotechnology, what are electrotechnical standards and conformity assessment systems, and how these can help. And after this time, I can tell you, when you go to some country, you can see that the IEC standards are implemented. And we can feel really proud. I can give some example. For example, we visited Seychelles, where I've seen a government agency using the IEC certificate to accept electrotechnical product coming in the country. Recently, I was in Tunisia, where I've seen that a big organization, they have like 20% share of the global trade in the area, that is cable for automobiles, and they use the IEC standards to be on the global market, you see. So also we have supported some countries to restructure, to reconstitute the national committees, and things seems now to be better than before. I can talk about Nigeria, Senegal, Tunisia, Ghana, and so on. And of course, we have also had new countries in Africa that came in the IEC family in Africa. So all this together, I think that we are driving well, we are moving well, and that's what we want to really present and to say that we are also ready to continue. Yeah.
Indeed. Mr. Zakis, let's go back to the question. What does this mean for Kenya, hosting this event?
Okay, let me start by what does it mean hosting the IEC Africa Center. In the background I've given is that it was a journey, and the choice was not a one-off. The IEC Central Secretariat had to make hard decisions, because there were several countries that were interested in hosting this particular center because of the accruing benefits from the hosting. So by hosting this particular now 10-year down the line, Kenya has been placed as a focal point of IEC in Africa. The world is aware of what is happening in Africa through the African Central IEC Center. And what is happening in Kenya. For example, I would say Kenya is using the schemes which Ahoti has talked about, the IEC conformity assessment schemes, and this has really placed Kenya at the pedestal of the IEC and electrotechnology in the world. The world will be coming to Kenya, if I may say that. It's not only African countries that will be coming to Kenya from tomorrow. It will be the whole world will be in Kenya. And the whole world will be looking at Kenya from a global perspective as far as electrotechnology is concerned. We have exhibitions that will be running from tomorrow, that is 4th up to 6th during the conference, and they will position Kenya. The world will be able to see what as Kenya we have done in the area of technology. So this event is very, very important for this country in the area of technology, electrotechnology, and it's a major milestone, if I may put it, of this 10-year journey of the IEC in Kenya and in Africa. Yes.
This event is happening here in Nairobi.
Yes.
Starting on the 4th?
Good. I thought my colleague had introduced it. From tomorrow, that is on 4th of November up to 6th, we are celebrating the 10-year, a decade of impact of the IEC, which will be hosted here in Nairobi at the Kenyatta International Conference Center. We have more than 20 nationals who will be in this country coming to celebrate the 10 years of the IEC in Africa. There will be exhibitions. There will be high-level panels that will be talking about electrotechnology. What is electrotechnology, its impact, and all that in Kenya. Even the IEC president himself will be in Nairobi from tomorrow to make also, you'll be part of the panel that will be presenting during the IEC Africa Center 10-year celebrations.
From your perspective, now that we have the presence of IEC Africa Region Center here in Kenya, how do you see it has shaped the national electrotechnical standards within the country and also within the region?
Okay. One, let me say, before this center was opened in Kenya or in Africa, or everything was centralized at the ISO Central Secretariat in Geneva.
Yes.
That is where the commission is headquarters in Geneva. So if you needed any service, you had to contact the ISO Central Secretariat in Geneva. IEC Central Secretariat in Geneva. But look at it now. You have the IEC Africa Center, which is in Africa. If you need any information about the IEC, you don't have to go to Geneva. You don't have to wait for responses from Geneva. You just need to pick up your phone and make a call to the center, which is headquartered at the Eden Place, Westlands, in Nairobi.
Yes.
So our stakeholders have very easy access to the IEC and its services, which include standardization and conformity assessment. So this hosting, this shipping, is that there is very easy access to the IEC services. In Kiswahili, what we say, kupeleka huduma mashinani. So IEC has come to mashinani in Kenya and in Africa, because when you are in Nairobi, there is very easy connectivity to any part of Africa. So that was one of the factors that led to the hosting of the IEC Center in Nairobi for ease of connectivity. If you want to go to the west, it is very easy. If you want to go to the south, to the north, to the central of Africa, even to Europe, if you have any issues in Europe, it is very easy. So for the Africa Center to be in Nairobi, it has shaped the electrotechnical industry in Africa by making it very accessible the IEC services, both standardization and conformity assessment, very, very easily accessible to the stakeholders. And what does that also mean? By having this center in Nairobi, when we are talking about access of goods to the African goods to the world, it is also very easy because we are also harmonizing the standards, the IEC standards. They are now being adopted by many countries through the presence or through the membership in the IEC, through either full members, associate members, or another program called the affiliates program. So almost the whole of Africa now is part of the IEC narrative, both in standardization and conformity assessment.
Yes.
So I would say the presence of IEC Africa Regional Center in Nairobi and in the continent has really brought the awareness of the IEC to Africa.
Yes. Yes. Francois, you know, one of the things that we enjoy in Africa is diversity. How has IEC helped countries within Africa now to come together around a shared electoral technical standards?
Yes. Let's say that, as he explained, IEC is an international organization. And because standards and conformity assessment are important for Africa, in Africa we have regional bodies working to put together African countries to work together for standards. And what we do, or what we did, is to connect with these regional organizations. For example, we have AFRC, which is the African Standardization Commission in Electrotechnology. And with AFRC, the IEC has signed 2 agreements, very important agreements. One agreement is about the regional adoption agreement, where IEC is giving to AFRC and its members the right to adopt as regional standards, African standards, IEC standards. And also we have we came with a common program, action plan every year, where we support AFRC in terms of trainings, in terms of webinars, and things like that. We did the same with another organization called IDSMO. IDSMO is the Arab Industrial Development and Standardization and Mining Organization. We have 2 agreements with them. We have also agreement with ECOWAS, West African countries. We have agreement with the SADC region. We also have agreement with the centers around energy efficiency and renewable energy, ECRE and ECCRE and so on. So the idea is really to support those organizations in what they are doing by allowing them have access to the IEC international standards and conformity assessment. I should say that the event is starting tomorrow, but we can say also that it had started already because the AFRC now, from yesterday, they have technical meetings in Kenya, in Nairobi, to prepare this session we'll have from tomorrow. So we are really helping the IEC family individually when it comes to countries, but also at the regional level, so that we work together to bring the voice of Africa at the international level.
Yes, and also still on you, when empowering local talent is very important. As the International Electrotechnical Commission, how have you helped African experts take the lead in shaping the standards that now that we are talking about?
Thank you very much. So that is really what we want. We want Africa to be present, to sit at the table at the international level,
yes,
and to work with the international community. And to do it, of course, as you said, we need experts. And for us, the work we are doing is also to train experts on how to participate in the IEC work. And that's the first thing we are doing, but we also need really the involvement of decision makers in the different countries. So when we go to countries, we meet with decision makers to explain how important the standardization and conformity assessment are important for the country's development. And we are not doing this work alone. I mean, from the ICFRC alone. I can tell you we have the full support of the IEC management. So, for example, recently, the IEC Secretary General himself came to Africa. He has visited Ghana, Nigeria, Tunisia. Next year, he'll be visiting Uganda, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Burkina Faso. But before, in 2023, he visited Kenya, South Africa, Côte d'Ivoire. And when he comes to this visit, the idea is really to meet high-level people and have workshops, have work with stakeholders to see that IEC has solutions ready to be used. Countries can use those solutions, but better, they can also participate in the formulation of these international solutions. Mm-hmm. So that's the way we are really working to empower Africa to take his full seat at the global level.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Zacchaeus, standards can sound technical, especially to a person working in the county there. But if you meet somebody in Nairobi today, how do you explain standards in the simplest language possible?
Thank you once again for that question of debugging and simplifying what a standard is.
Yes.
Let me introduce myself that I work at the Kenya Bureau of Standards, and the vision of one of the mission of KBC is standards, not the mission. The vision of KBC standards for quality life. All right, and when you look at the vision of the IEC, is IEC everywhere for a safer and more efficient world. Those two visions are linked. If you look at them, we are talking about quality life, mm-hmm. and we are talking about safer and more efficient world. So look at the standard from those two visions. And what do you mean by a safe world? I want to talk about a standard from a safety point of view, mm-hmm. so that it is able to visualize what safety means in terms of standards. I may ask you a question. When you go to put on your light, do you have the fear that switch can electrocute you? Or you just go and just press the switch?
You just press.
Why?
Because you know it's safe.
What makes it safe? You do that because there is a standard behind the wiring. Okay? In the wiring code, the wiring standard, there is the way you connect the wires. So you don't connect the wires such that it can give you a shock. Mm-hmm. So that is a standard, an easy way of looking at standard. When you are going to plug a socket, yeah, you have your plug and you are going to a socket, and you are holding that plug, mm-hmm. and you want to plug it on the socket outlet. Also, you don't mind whether the power is off or it's on.
Yes.
Why? Because there is a standard that is behind the construction of the plug.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. You will come to explain that.
Yes.
Let's take a very short break. We'll be right back to continue this conversation. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. We're talking about the International Electrotechnical Commission Africa Region Center 10-year anniversary. And before we went on a break, Mr. Zakis were explaining about standards.
Yes, we go back to my example of the plug. So when you're plugging in that plug to the socket outlet, you do it without fear of electrocution. Why? Because there is a standard that specifies the performance requirements of that plug, such that that plug should be made out of a material that is non-conductive. It is not going to conduct electricity and give you a shock and something like that. So to a layman, to a person on the street, about safety of a standard, relation to the standard is that these standards make sure that you don't have to think twice when you are doing some of these things. When you are plugging in your socket, when you are switching on your lights, there's a standard behind it which makes sure that there is safety with that particular product or service. So that is one. Then I link again to the second part of the vision of the IEC, that is a more efficient world. Now, efficiency, let's look at it from this perspective. When today you go to the supermarket or to any shop and you want to buy a lamp, a bulb, let me call it a bulb, not use technical terms, I call it a bulb. Your bulb has blown or it is burnt. It is at night and maybe it's around 7 p.m. You have children who are doing their homework or who are revising, or even someone is cooking, and then this bulb burns. You don't need to look for the biggest supermarket around for you to buy a bulb that will fit into the bulb holder in your house. What do? You move to the nearest shop. Very efficient. You move to the nearest shop and you buy a bulb which you go and fit on your bulb holder. Why? Because there is a standard that says if it's a pin type bulb, then there shall be a pin type holder, socket holder. Yes. So the only thing you need to know is mine a screw type or is it a pin type? Because there are just those two types. You go to the shop, you say I need a bulb, and most of, anyway, unless maybe for special purposes and for aesthetics, most of the bulbs are pin type. So even you don't need to think about it. You just go to the shop and ask for the nipatie bulb. Watingapi? You are given the bulb you want. You dash back to the house, you go fit, and it works. That is standards at work. Yes. Okay? When you are boarding, for those who travel, when you are boarding a plane, do you really start fearing that this plane may not take off? No. You board, you belt up, and you sit so comfortable for this plane to take off. Why? Because there are standards behind every component in that plane, which makes the components work with each other. This is what IEC does. We make sure that the standards are there for every component, not just for those big. I've given the example of a bulb. It's a small thing. I've given the example of a socket. It's a small thing. When you go to an ATM, do you go and say, this is Barclays, so I have a card for Barclays? When you go to, nowadays it's called ABSA, when you go to Stanchart, you look for a card for Stanchart, you go to KCB, you go to Coop Bank, you carry all those. You don't have to carry many cards. You just need one card. Why? If it's a Visa card, then there is a standard for Visa card. So you just need to go and insert your card and you withdraw your money. So, and again, another example I can give. If today you are on one of the networks in Kenya and you decide to buy a SIM to change to another network, do you need to change your phone? No, you don't need to change your phone. Why? There are standards for the SIM slot and the SIM itself. They have the SIM card itself. So you just need to go and buy a SIM card, and there you go insert in your phone, they fit, that compatibility, that is standards at work. So you look at it simplistically, that is how I can explain standards at work. They make it safe, and they make it very efficient for you, very easy for you to do things the way you would like to do. Yes. Yeah, that is my simple explanation of what a standard is. Yes. But when now you summarize it, it's fitness for use. Mm-hmm. Yes, that fitness is for use. For use.
Definitely.
Yes.
Mr. Francois, what sparked the idea behind the African Infrastructure Week? Was there a challenge somewhere that necessitated this event?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that from the examples that my colleague has presented, yes, you can see how important is electrotechnology. At the same time, you know that electrotechnology is not really it's not really seen by people as something very important because it's so common. They are using it, but they don't really see what it is about. So when we talk about quality infrastructure, people will think about food, agriculture. That's good. But also we have this electrotechnical area that I talk about. So we wanted to really have this event, if possible, every year, because now we put the first IEC Africa Quality Infrastructure Week to make people be aware of the importance of electrotechnology for development. Because you cannot talk about this development or anything without electrotechnology. Even the industries that are not really in the electrotechnical sector, for example, if you take food industry, you see that the equipment they are using in the factory use electricity. So we want really African country to build around this sector. We are aware of a lot of countries as well. They don't have raw materials, but they are doing well because they are focused really on electrotechnology. Mm-hmm. So that's why we want to have this event as regularly as possible, so that we bring together experts, we bring together industries to talk and to see how really we can move forward with all the resources we have at international level, mm-hmm, through IEC, mm-hmm, and other organizations.
Okay, and also still on you, from your perspective, how can professionals, entrepreneurs, innovators also plug into the work that IEC does?
Yes, I can say for a very long time, IEC has been called the home of industry. So, and that may be why people don't really know what is IEC, but the industry, the entrepreneurs in the electrotechnology, they really know what is the IEC. I said that recently I visited a country where an organization is in the market, the international market, because of IEC. So what we want really to have is to have these entrepreneurs interested. And of course, innovation is the heart of what IEC is doing. Technology is evolving every time. So we need African community to be interested in this area. If we are not interested in this area, we continue to produce raw material. And it is not, let me tell you that the IEC work cover almost 25% of the world trade, the international trade. Mm-hmm. And the second sector, after the electrotechnology, is the raw energy material that is at 11%. So you see the gap. This very important sector is not having the attention it needs. And so we call the entrepreneurs, we call the innovators really to link with IEC so that they can really move quickly forward.
Indeed. Mr. Zacchaeus, from trade to tech, how do you think standards help Kenya in competing with with other global markets?
Thank you very much. We look at competitiveness. Now, what happens in Kenya in manufacturing? Because we have manufacturers. Every product that is produced in this country, produced in the legal way, it has to go through a vetting process at the Kenya Bureau of Standards. We have a quality assurance department that ensures that there is a contract between the manufacturer and the Kenya Bureau of Standards that they are going to produce quality products. What are these quality products? It's only those quality products are those products that meet the requirements of the set standards, or what we would call set specifications. Now, with these products meeting these quality specifications, it means that these products can access any market in the world where we have, for example, mutual recognition agreements, or where our marks of quality, if I may specifically talk about the standardization mark, which is a mandatory mark in this country. For every product that is produced, it must bear the standardization mark. So with this standardization mark, it is very easy for these products to access global markets. Within the EAC, if I may talk about that, the East African community,
yes,
coming nearer home before we go outside, any product with a standardization mark as a direct entry into any of the 5 East African country markets without retesting. Only that the country will do market surveillance when the product is in the country. Even the products from other countries, they come and we do market surveillance. So when you look at the competitiveness, because of the stringent contracts that exist between manufacturers and the Kenya Bureau of Standards, it is evident that these products will be able to meet the requirements of the set standards. And then, why is it so easy to meet those requirements? It is because of harmonization of standards. Most of the Kenya standards are harmonized to international standards. So by harmonization, I mean when we are developing a Kenya standard for a socket outlet, first of all, what we look at is existing international standards. These international standards, we domesticate them. The same with the East African region. We have harmonized standards for trade within the region. So these products become very, very competitive and easy to access those other markets. And I'll give an example. The maintenance-free batteries, we call them starter batteries, which are produced in Kenya. They have direct access maybe to the West, like Ghana. A lot of batteries that are produced here in this country, they go to Ghana. Why do they go to Ghana? They go to Ghana because they have met the IEC standards, which are already the Kenya standards and are already the Ghanaian standards. So it is very easy for this battery, once it is manufactured in Kenya, using the stringent controls which are there between the manufacturer and the Kenya Bureau of Standards. They meet the the IEC standard for starter batteries, maintenance-free batteries, and when they go to those other countries, they can comfortably compete with batteries from anywhere in the world, because also those other batteries are manufactured to the international standard. They meet the IEC standard, and because the world is becoming very small, and one standard, when you have one standard, you have access to the global market. So let me say that the Kenyan manufacturers are out there to beat the global market. Today, as we speak, maybe I'm digressing from your question, we have producers of Type C charging cables in Kenya. These Type C charging cables are being exported out of this country. Why? Because, as you may be aware, the world agreed or resolved that we are not going to have many varieties of charging cables. One, to reduce the e-waste, and two, to make it easier. You see, the IEC, the efficient world, safer and efficient world. So the world, whoever is producing mobile phones, they are producing their chargers are Type C, unless those who are going wireless charging now. So if you have Type C and the standard has been set for Type C, why wouldn't Kenya compete competitively with the rest of the world by following and sticking to the standard for Type C charging cables and be able to conquer the world? We are looking at our innovators conquering the world, our manufacturers, our products going out there and competitively competing with the others. Why? By meeting the set standards.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed. Mr. Francois, what would you say, because standardization has its challenges, but what would you say are the most outstanding ones, especially within Africa, and how can they be turned into opportunities now?
Yes, we have challenges, a lot of challenges. One of the first challenges we have is stakeholder engagement. The engagement of the expert in the work, the standardization work. It is a very big one because sometimes you don't feel the Africans are interested in sharing this expertise that they may have. And the challenge is big because in some other parts of the world, the experts, they pay to participate in the standardization activity. In Africa, they want to be paid to go and sit and participate in the standardization work. Yeah. And this is a big challenge even for government because the standardization is everywhere. If experts need to be to meet regularly and we have to provide this money, it may be difficult. The second thing we have as challenge is that unfortunately, in Africa, decision makers sometimes are not really aware of the importance of standards. Okay, of course we have standardization body in all the countries, but we need to have this push, this support from the people in driving the country, the decision makers. The other thing is also challenge is Africa is not that much involved at the international level. And we need to work at this level. We need to have the expert to go to work at the national level, regional level, international level. But we need also to have Africans in the governance bodies at the international level. So that is the challenges we are working on for Africa. And as I said recently, as I said before, we are really doing this work by visiting countries, meeting people, talking to them with the support of the IEC. And I think that is one thing very important. And also you see, because the opportunity is also in terms of we have a lot to do in Africa. And we have solutions available that we can use. And I think that is the way we can make progress on standardization and conformity assessment in Africa.
Now, in the interest of time, Zacchaeus, now that we are marking 10 years anniversary of IEC in Africa, what do you think is next for Kenya and Africa, especially when it comes to standards space?
Thank you very much. This is a very, very important question. asking what's next for Kenya and the continent when it comes to the standards place. As the director of the IEC Africa office has said, we need more presence in standardization. And who is this who is going to do this? How are standards developed? Standards are developed by experts, by the stakeholders, by the people who are practicing this technology. The Kenya standards are not developed by officers at the Kenya Bureau of Standards. The IEC standards are not developed by the officers at the IEC Central Secretariat. Who does this work? It's the experts. When we talk, for example, I'll give an example. When you talk about the moving picture industry, we have an expert group known as MPEG, Moving Pictures Expert Group. That is the driver of the moving pictures standards at the IEC and at the global level. So what we need to do is our experts, our manufacturers, our academia, our researchers need to put more into standardization space and be sure they have their voice of the continent heard at the IEC and the other level. Also, the issue of conformity assessment. We need, as the continent, because the IEC runs for conformity assessment. This time may not be enough to explain about conformity assessment, but this is, let me put it in a layman's language, certification. So the IEC runs for certification schemes for electrotechnical products. The continent needs to embrace these conformity assessment systems and embrace them. They will make sure the products that are entering this continent, the quality of the products will go up, because these are third-party attestations when we talk of conformity assessment. So in a nutshell, what am I saying? I'm saying that our voice, our stakeholders, our manufacturers, our innovators, don't just sit with that innovation, bring it out for standardization. When it is standardized, that standard can become a global standard through the IEC. Let's input there. Let's propose more standardization items at the international level as we do it at the national level.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Francois, if you are to sum up the International Electrotechnical Commission in one powerful phrase, what would that be and why?
Yes, thank you very much for this question. Let's say that recently I had the chance to moderate a webinar when we were preparing this event of the 10 years anniversary. And the topic was IEC in Africa, from legacy to impact. I think this is really what, for me now, is summing up what we have. IEC in Africa, from legacy to impact. This means that the IEC has set up a regional center in Africa. We have now 10 years. IEC has been established for a very long time back, and we feel that this center will continue to be in Kenya, in Africa. This is the legacy the IEC is really giving to Africa. Then the second part is we need to have impact from what we are and what we are doing in Kenya. We are expecting to have measurable impact. And of course, I talk about some of the results that we are proud of, but we need to go further. And for this more impact, we have a way to put it. We say now, IEC is in Africa. We need Africa to be in IEC. Africa being in IEC means, as he said, we have African experts at the international roundtables to discuss the content of the international standards. It means that we have also Africa in the governance of the international bodies, so that we have our say. It means also that we implement the standards, because if we have standards and we are not implementing them, it changed nothing. So for me, what I have as summary or takeaway from what we want to do through this 10 years anniversary is really to have the impact in the coming years from the presence of IEC in Africa.
Yes.
To have IEC, to have Africa in IEC.
Yes. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time to come and talk about this. We have been talking about the International Electrotechnical Commission Africa Region Center's 10-year anniversary that is taking place at the KICC from the 4th to 6th of this month, and also just highlighted the importance of electrotechnology for development, not only within Kenya, but also within Africa. I've been talking to Francois Ahoti, who is the Regional Director, International Electrotechnical Commission, Africa Region Center, and also Zacchaeus Mwatha, who is the Acting Chief Manager, Standards Development and Trade at Kenya Bureau of Standards. This is where this conversation ends. Don't go too far. Vivian Ndegwa is up next with Family Check. My name is Mike Megwe. Stay with us.